let's get into it. It is the end of June, and this month we have been discussing language and talking about how language is oppressive. We all speak oppressor, and the goal is to speak liberation to get more fluent in that. Good morning, Michelle. So our June arc was, speaking to that power, right? So at the end of this June, I want to wrap this up because I'm thinking about July. And like I said, I want us to rest a little, right? I want this to be built in. Many of you came here starting with, the 100 days of community. And that means the first 100 days, you guys went hard. That's like a little over 3 months, right? Every single day. And then we moved into Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I'm like, it's time to rest. So for July, we are going to move into that season of resistance, right? And so there we're going to be doing a lot more of like replaying, rereading articles. What radicalized you is a question that I'm asking people, and I'm asking them to share articles with me. So if you hear this, if you see this, tell me what radicalized you. It doesn't even have to be my stuff, right? Like I'm not bothered by that. I would like it to be my stuff so that I could restock it, repost it, and we could see, because I don't want this to become, um, I don't want this to be a drag. I want learning and unlearning to be very real and rooted in my own praxis in my life, in believing in rest as an act of liberation, right? Revisiting certain things, right? Like, oh, well, I haven't read all of your stuff here, Des. Or, you know what? I really needed to go back over that. Some people are still going through the 100 days of community, and that's perfectly fine, right? But if we do not build in an intentional resistance, right? A rest, a pause. Hold on a second, because I'm still trying to do this, and you're just moving on. We will get lost, and it will become a problem. So July is resistance, which equals rest. And I love that for us, right? Because rest is restorative. It's also the final month before, at least for me, before my own children go home. Some of you, if you're in the East Coast and you have children, you guys are just getting out of school, right? Like, so your summer's just beginning. So I think that it is a really good balance of holding space for saying, you know what, we could still do this work and we could still rest and we could go over some old things. So that is where we're moving into July. But as we're closing out, my whole word is born arc of June and language, I wanted to do a recap. Are you ready? Yes. Good. Okay. This month, we journey deep into the power of language, how it shapes our reality, enforces domination, and offers a portal into liberation. We confronted thought terminating cliches, cracked open colonial scripts, and made room for new truths to bloom. From reclaiming consent as sovereignty and rewilding our voice, this arc reminds us our words build words. I think that that's super important, right? We touched on it from different aspects and different belief systems, but our language creates the worlds that we are living in. And this is not like in a spiritual bypass sort of way. This is not saying that reality is not happening, but how we move through this world is absolutely created by our words. So we need to become much more intentional about it, recognizing the impact of different people that are coming to you or coming into the vicinity of you with different lived experiences. So the impact of your language, your words is going to be completely different on the people that you encounter based on their truths and their lived experience. So I said, liberation isn't just in our actions, it's in our utterance. And as we close June, we center one of the most sacred places of our words to show up in our relationships, right? In all of them. I mean, really, it's very interesting for people to encounter how I feel about the way we speak to people in our language, because they hear me cursing all the time. And that is such a huge barrier, right? And I curse with my kids. I curse at my kids, like, and not in a disparaging way. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That sort of cursing, not like, go clean up, you stupid bitch. That's a different kind of speaking that I've just never been with. I don't like it. It's violent. It's abusive. We are not allowed to say things like you are stupid or speak down on each other in this home. I don't allow them to do that to each other, to anyone else. When they do, we confront it, we look for new language. So when we're in relationship with people, we need to really think about that. Whether you are a supervisor, a parent, a partner, we need to think about how we are conversing with each other because you can't talk to me like that. That's a wild concept. When people talk, especially as somebody who exists on the internet, and they're like in their little comments all thumb strong, I'm like, you could never talk to me like that in real life. Like, that's not an option, right? So I'm gonna give you a moment to fix that even in these comments. Um, and if they don't, okay, we're gonna have to block you because you can't do that, right? So we have to really revisit how we speak with people and how we allow people to speak to us because ain't no way. Okay. Good morning, Jenny. Hi, Susan. So whether it's parenting, partnership, kinship, or community, the language you use either enforces control or invites connection. That's it. That's what we're doing, right? We're either going to offer you that moment to reframe it. We could do this connective work, or you are trying to control me, and that's going to be a problem. So, and that's never going to work out. All right. So the three talking points for today are one, language that controls is not love, it's conditioning. Two, liberated language honors nuance, not script. Three, liberated language makes room for repair, not perfection, right? All I'm asking is that you guys show up consistently. That's it. I'm not seeking anyone to be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We're human. We will be flawed. We are learning new ways of being, right? New ways. Hey, love. We are learning new ways of being in relationships with each other. We are learning new ways of parenting. We are learning new ways of having friendships outside of a colonial script. And that means we're going to fuck up. That's what that means, right? There's no utopia to jump to without the part where you are going to totally mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say the wrong thing. And where's the repair? Are you willing to take accountability? Are you willing to do the repair work? Lovely. That's restorative, right? When we say restorative justice, it's not just the legal system. Restorative justice happens in between people. Oh, okay. Hi, radio. Thank you. Good morning to radio. Bye. All right. So let us begin. Language that controls is not love, it's conditioning. When someone says, I'm only doing this because I love you, while violating your boundary, that's not love. That's manipulation wearing a love mask. Supremacy culture has taught us that care must come with control, but control is not the currency of connection. The thought dominating cliche that goes along with this is it's for your own good, or that's just how I am. That it's for your own good was used so often with corporal punishment, right? Like for parents and children. I'm beating you for your own good. And like, listen, I can hold space for many truths because multiple truths exist. I recognize that, even to get through my own um, childhood wounds with those sorts of things, I believe them. I really do believe them. When you are raising children in a place of fear, you will try to control them, right? When you are scared of what the system could do to them, right? Like it depends on where you land on that spectrum of oppression, right? When you are raising Black children specifically, and you know that any given Sunday could be their last Sunday based on state sanctioned murders and violence, it's sometimes easier to kick their ass yourself, right? When you know that you are being raised in that cis heteropatriarchal colonial Christianity, you don't want your daughters looking a certain type of way, it's easier to, belittle them and put them in there instead of challenge systems. I recognize that. We're done with doing that. We're going to challenge systems. Say good morning, Shady. Did you sleep so well? I opened up the window so they can go out. Did you sleep well? Good. Are you going to art camp? You gonna go to grandma's? Okay. We'll start finding some clothes and stuff. I don't know, but I'm on my lives. I want to get back to that. Oh, it's a myth. Go. Hey, Tanya. So, all of those sorts of things. We just have to begin to question it, right? This is the language. This is the systems that we came up in generationally. And if we're looking for to do something new, we have to do something new. We have to change the language. We have to change our approach to these sorts of things. Because then she'll come back and want to chat. Good morning, Sally. Um, so when you're thinking about those sorts of things, right, and you could sit with that truth. Like I really did parent from that sort of way. It was for your own good. Um, in a system that is violent. It breeds more violence, right? So now, how do we reshape that? You have to get more radical, right? Like, you know what? I have to take that risk. That is a possibility that, my child will be judged. My child will be treated a certain sort of way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the soft place. Same with your own relationships, right? That's paternalism. That's one of those pillars of supremacy culture is, when you have that structure of the man as the head of the house and everything he says goes, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this for your own good. First of all, we're equals here, right? This is supposed to be a partnership. No, that's not how that works. Or that's just how I am. Well, that's just not what we're accepting anymore from people and partners. If that's just how you are and it's making you happy, I love that for you. Do that alone. Okay. Because that's just how I am is completely a thought terminating cliche. It says I'm not willing to confront anything. I'm not willing to do the work for repair. And I'm not willing to see how you are experiencing me. And I love that for you over there, away from me. You could be however you choose to be away from me. Empress says we were raised to suspect all men except my father. Right. And like this idea is, that's for your own good. And I'm like, is it though? Like, because where's the inner trust that, we should be building up the inner intuition because there's plenty of people, and usually the closest people to us are the ones who are harmful to us. So, what does that look like? How do you shift that? And then now you've made that men, the complete, every single one, a complete and utter enemy at all times. There's so many people that are harmed when we are operating in the colonial script. And that's why we are seeking liberation from it because it is killing us all differently, individually, collectively, but we are dying. And we are no longer going to do that. It's going to die. And we can see it, right? And we can see the collapse. So the reframe here is if love requires shrinking, it's not liberation. It's a rehearsal for oppression. Okay. So if you are in a space and it requires you to become less of you, get the hell out. You are not safe. I want you to start really thinking about what safety looks like. That is not a safe place if it requires you to shrink. It is trying to oppress you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. The reflection I want you to ask yourself is where in your relationships has control been mislabeled as care? What might love sound like if it honored consent, not conformity, right? Do yourself a little list.
All the cats are gonna go out.
I know. You're wearing a sweatsuit. Is that what you want to wear? Love that for you. Get your bathing suit and your little stuff packed up. Okay?
Did I leave my pantsuit?
No, it's in this bag right there. I love my little shady. So, where in your relationships has control been mislabeled as care, and what might love sound like if it honored consent, not conformity? Talking point two: liberated language honors nuance, not scripts. Think about how we say "I'm fine" when we're not, or how "boys will be boys" becomes a shield for harm. Scripts flatten truth. Liberation speaks in layers with curiosity and compassion. Thought terminating cliche, you always. I told you guys, one of my favorite things that Shady says is you always sometimes. And I don't correct it. I think that it's adorable. I think that it's very sweet, but it is something that I recognize even I looked back on my own language throughout my life, right? And that brain development frontal lobe area. And I recall how long I used to say, you always, right? If I were, I was married young and let's say, my husband didn't do something, it's like you always forget our anniversary, something like that. And was always for real was like the actual. I see tuna was that actual. So we often will take this one moment and spread it around, right? Like even in my own current separation from my husband, I find myself wanting to be like, you were always this. And the truth of the matter was, no, that's not actual. Because if he was always that, he wouldn't have had 3 years and 3 kids and 15 years of my time. So when we're talking about those sorts of things, or anything really, we need to add the layers to it, right? Something could be very true now that wasn't always true, and that is okay, right? You may have become more liberal. Right. But you weren't always more progressive, but you weren't always. You may have become more conservative but you weren't always. So please stop. No, thank you. Um,
Want me to put this all back in the
I would appreciate if you put it all back in the bag. I know. So thinking about how that will 100% shut you down, right? Oh, you always act this way. I don't. That's not even possible, let alone true. So what does that look like? The second one here is that's just the way things are. Are they? Why is it always that way? Right? Again, get curious, remain teachable. If that's how things are, why are they that way? How did it come about? I want to know. Fine. I won't even argue with you. That's just how things are. Cool, cool, cool. How'd they get that way? Okay. So if they got that way through language, through agreement, through societal programming, then we can do the same thing to do something different. Isn't that amazing? Yay. Look at us finding solutions. So think about it that way. I'm going to close this window, guys. Cats, come on. Okay. You guys stay up there then. Hey, that is Evan, the mosquito guy. Okay. So he's both. He's the exterminator. Shady is crazy. Okay, so the reframe I offer here is I trade rigidity for relationship, right? We don't need rigid control. We just need to be relational with each other. I speak with nuance, not nostalgia, right? A lot of this goes back. I wrote an article and earlier in the week. Could you open up the front door so your cat can come back in? And I was like, they didn't vote for Trump. They voted for their fathers, right? That hoping he wins the argument at the table, right? The uncle that is just ignored constantly. It is one of those sorts of things, right? It's this nostalgia for a time where they were desirable, where life seemed easier for them. Right. Because when we really think about cishet men, you guys have to become likable. And it's not easy to become likable, right? When nobody had an option or a choice, you could just show up back into that other thought terminating cliche on this is just how I am. And nobody had an option, right? Because you couldn't maneuver in the world without being attached to you guys. And now that we do have options, you actually have to show up in your humanity. And that's not easy because humanity is not afforded to cishet men. They have been coded by patriarchy as workers only, right? With this ideal, because whiteness is aspirational, that they could be that 1% in the pyramid scheme. Like you can aspire to become that guy and you won't. You're literally just wielding the power that your proximity and possibility has. And so to become a likable human takes work, right? For all of us, but especially those guys. So when you're thinking about nostalgia from those times gone by, you got to let that go. Got to let that go and embrace the nuance. So, the reflection that I offer here is what scripts do you hear or speak in moments of conflict, of discomfort? And what would happen if you pause for presence instead of performance? I have to bite my tongue a lot, right? Because I definitely grew up in a time and space where you curse people slap out. Like there's nothing and get as wicked with it as possible, right? Like I wanna destroy you. I want to hurt you. I want to harm you. Just leave it there. We'll talk about it afterwards. Uh-huh. Um, so I had to really learn how to speak in a different sort of way, right? Because I'm like, I could really wreck your whole world right now and really make you not want to continue breathing, and that's not okay. So how do you shift that? Right? How do you turn around and say, you know what? I don't want to cause harm here. I want to know what we could do. And sometimes you can't. Like, and that's okay. And letting people go is definitely going to be a part of this work. Liberated, talking point 3. Liberated language makes room for repair, not perfection, right? As an example, in relationships, we will get it wrong. Okay? Sit with that truth while I sip this coffee. We will get it wrong. We will miscommunicate. And liberation isn't about being flawless, it's about returning to the table with humility and hunger for growth. The most powerful phrase in a liberated relationship is, can we try that again? Can we try that again? Can we try that again? Over and over and over again. I use reset with the kids. I'm like, let's reset, right? Because sometimes it will get heated. They're fussing, I'm fussing. Like, yeah, because I argue with kids, right? Like, I'm human, they're human. Um, we don't have a hierarchical, it's a very egalitarian household. So they are allowed to express opinions. And sometimes it gets a little too fiery. And I'm like, pause. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Let's take a breath. Let's reset. And I will do it too, because there's times where I'm yelling and screaming, right? And I love that they're not afraid to be like, why are you screaming at me? And I'm like, oh shit, you're right. That wasn't cool. Can we reset? Can we try this again? It is so powerful. Can we try this again? Because who is going to be perfect out here? Who's going to say the right things every single time? Empress said, I was really impressed when I saw you tell your child that her words hurt your feelings. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm human. I'm not in here trying to separate myself from my humanity. That hurts. That hurts me. And I want them to know that they matter to me, right? Their thoughts of me matter to me. When they're like, Kira will ask me, do you think you're a good mom? Or like, I think you're the best mom. Or I'm like, oh, well, only you could say that, right? Because 4 kids, one of them doesn't talk to me. So one of them does not think that, right? So each individual child gets to choose whether I'm the best version of momming or whatever that looks like. And yes, their words hurt me because what they think of me actually matters because they are important people in my life. So it should. I hope it matters to you what the people you say you care about think of you. So, can we try that again? The thought terminating cliche that would go with this one is I said what I said. And I do love that. Don't get this wrong. It's not I said what I said in black. Because that's just I said what I said. Because that's standing on business. But like it's more like then, because I said so sort of thing, right? Like with no explanation. I probably should have done that. But I said what I said was a mess. It was Aaron's charger. They no longer want that charger. Okay. It's more the because I said so. Let's
No,
fix
I
that.
can't have this.
Okay.
I'm sorry, friend,
I appreciate that. And
but
thank
I
you.
can't have this.
Okay, cool. We'll just leave it in there. So then there's an additional charger for Erin when we're outside. It's more the because I said so with no explanation. And sometimes those are necessary. I've had those conversations when, you are dealing with kids and you're like, listen, let's go. Why? Da, da, da. Because I said so. Get your ass in the car. There could be danger. So sometimes you have to get in there. But we've had community conversations before that, right? Loving me is trusting me, yada, yada, yada. So when you have these liberated spaces and conversations, you are already setting up new agreements, new communication styles and tools so that we can revisit that. And then even if you fuck up, can we try this again? I'm human. God willing, I'm here another 40 years. You think I'm not going to fuck up? In all aspects, friendships, parenting, lovers, teaching, educating. I'm a fuck up. Can we try this again? Yes or no? And no is okay. No is a complete sentence, right? The repair doesn't work if the other person doesn't want it. That's consent, right? And we get again, remember, we are framing consent as sovereignty, right? Your enthusiastic consent to show up is you standing in your sovereignty. Can I try this again? No. Okay. I offered. That's all I could do. Trying to let the cats back in. Okay, you did not come in. Shay, do you want to open up the door and see if one of them went onto the porch? I appreciate you. The other one is, I'm not explaining myself again. And why? Why? And I'm guilty of it too, right? Like, I'm not explaining myself again. You get exhausted, but give the reason. Offer the nuance, offer the layers, right? I'm not going to explain this again. I've said this over and over again. We've agreed to it, right? Like, there's so much talking when you are moving into having really deeply connective, liberated relationships. So, like, I'm not. But it needs the nuance. Come on, close the door. It needs the nuance, right? We can't just say, because I said so and I'm not explaining this. Because you're not even dealing with people's learning curves, their brain development, their ability. You want them, they're mine. Would you like to borrow them? You can put them on. Okay, well, when I'm done. Okay, thank you. So thinking about what does that look like, right? Like, no, I can't. And let me tell you why. We've had this conversation. Is there something that you don't understand? Because I can offer, a further or deeper explanation, right? But a lot of times people will use that term so they could turn around and be like, "Oh, I didn't understand. You didn't explain yourself clearly, right? I'm not explaining myself anymore." To shut the conversation down. And I'm like, "No, that's not a conversation. You said what you wanted to say. You refused to go any further into it, and that's not fair to the other person. That's not even fair to yourself because why are you not trying to have this connection? And if you don't want it, that's fine. I will offer you the opportunity. Would you like to have this connection? No? Love that for me. Have a nice day. Take care." The reframe there is love isn't proven in being right. It's deepened through repair. Right and wrong does not need to exist, right? Like, because multiple truths exist. And if we are talking about togetherness, partnership, community, I am much more concerned um, with finding something that works for all of us than being right, because that means it's a win lose, right? It's again one of those 15 pillars of supremacy culture. It's that either or binary. If I'm right, that means you're wrong. That means I won, you lose. Who the fuck is winning in a partnership, in community, if somebody has to lose? A team loses together or wins together. So think about it in that idea. ASMR baby over there. The reflection here I have you ask yourself is, how do you respond when you're called in? And where might you practice staying present instead of defensive, which is yet another one of those 15 pillars of supremacy culture, right? How, when you're called in, if you turn around and you say, I'm not, this is just how it was, and I'm not explaining myself again. Okay. Well, I'm going to offer you the opportunity. I understand that this is how these things were. Do you think that these things were working for everybody? Do you think that these things were fair? Do you think that these things were equitable? Do you want things to change? Okay. Then we need to talk about things. I want you to explain yourself. I want you to tell me what you're thinking, what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Do you want to have that conversation? Are you willing? No? Okay. Please stop spraying. That is off for mosquitoes. Now we're choking. Now you've poisoned the air. I'm dying. Okay. So we are at the top of our time, and I thank you very much. So I wanted to do a wrap up, right? Liberated language is a living practice. It's not about mastering new buzzwords. It's about unlearning domination and learning how to listen, speak, and relate with integrity. It's how we co-create relationships rooted in consent, clarity, and care. As we close June, here's your invitation. Start a liberated language journal. Write down the phrases you are unlearning, capture the reframes you're reclaiming, and let yourself stumble. Fluency takes time because the revolution will not be spell checked, but it will be spoken. And that's it, my friends. I love you guys. Sally says, a favorite unlearning reminder: I'm in competition with no one, not a damn soul. No one, and never have been. And neither have you. It's a lie of supremacy culture. We're not in competition with each other. Like, and you damn sure can't be in competition in a rigged game. I'm aware. All right. So I am going to jump up off of here. I love you guys. I will still be back on Wednesday. I have not figured out what we're going to chat about, but we are going to move into that rest and resistance for July and revisit some things. That is the goal, right? So I want you guys to just take a breath and get rooted because we're going to pause for a second. You deserve that. Sending you some pictures of the herbal garden haul after this. Heck yes. Thank you. Appreciate you, Lisa. It's Faye. You could open the door. Okay. Bye, guys. Mwah. See you Wednesday.